Welcome to Majesty Sussex Report. I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, returned to Instagram and the announcement of her Netflix series, With Love, Meghan, on New Year's Day. Today is January 5th, and the British media machinery is still talking about it. It has reignited the relentless criticism she faces from the media, particularly from white commentators who treat her as though she owes them an explanation for every choice she makes. This modern phenomena of public scrutiny and entitlement mirrors historical patterns of control and ownership over Black and women of color, raising urgent questions about race, gender, and the toxic legacy of colonial attitudes in the media and everyday life, especially from the master colonizer, the empire itself, Great Britain. To understand the dynamics at play, it is essential to define slavery and examine, in some way, its legacy. The term slave refers to a person who is owned by another person or entity and is deprived of personal freedom and autonomy. Slaves are compelled to work or perform services under the threat of violence, coercion, or other forms of control without the ability to leave or refuse. While modern slavery may differ from the transatlantic slave trade, it encompasses forms such as human trafficking, forced labor, and debt bondage. Anti Slavery International defines it as exploitation for personal or commercial gain, where individuals lose their freedom through coercion or force. The role of white women in the transatlantic slave trade and the domestic system of slavery in places like the Americas is rather complex and it's multifaceted. While white women are often portrayed primarily as passive beneficiaries of slavery, historical evidence reveals they were active participants in various aspects of the slave economy, including purchasing, managing, and profiting from enslaved individuals. Now, slaveholders and plantation managers, so ownership, management, wealth building. Many white women inherited or purchased enslaved individuals through marriage, inheritance, or their own economic transactions. Women in slaveholding families were often as invested in slavery as their male counterparts. Now, white women frequently managed plantations in the absence of their husbands or after becoming widow. This included overseeing the labor of enslaved people and enforcing discipline. Enslaved individuals were viewed as assets, and white women used them to accumulate personal wealth or as dowry in marriage. Now, the selling and buying, white women participated directly in the buying and selling and trading of enslaved people. Historical records show that women attended slave markets, negotiated prices, and made decisions about the acquisition of enslaved labor. Enslaved people were often used as collateral or investments, and women understood the financial advantages of owning and selling them. Enslaved individuals, particularly women, were often assigned to work in domestic places. White women, as their mistresses of the household, frequently supervised and controlled these individuals' lives. White women yield significant power over enslaved people in domestic settings and were often directly responsible for physical punishment and psychological abuse. Many white women supported the institution of slavery through their writings, social networks, and religious teachings. They justified slavery as a moral and economic necessity, often using distorted interpretations of Christianity to validate the practice. Some white women were vocal opponents of abolitionist movement, fearing the economic and social repercussions of losing the institution of slavery would not be beneficial for them.
Like her. Maybe Harry was your childhood crush or something and you just didn't like that he didn't marry you. You know, it's kind of weird and childish, but I guess like I understand that. But I feel like eventually you would get over that, right? And totally fair, like maybe you find her really cringe or something. But we have some way cringier celebrities that get away with so much. The only thing I can think of is just pure jealousy because she's incredibly beautiful, extremely smart, very successful, married a prince. It's simply jealousy. I totally get that. I'm jealous of people. Jealousy is a really, really powerful feeling. And I don't understand the argument people talk about, oh, I thought you wanted your privacy. You wanted your privacy. And now you have a TV show. Yeah, she decides when the cameras are there. That's the difference. I don't understand how people cannot see the difference between that and the unbelievable scrutiny they received when they were living in the UK. There are a lot of celebrities that lead very private lives and then choose when they want the cameras to be there. So I am genuinely curious why you don't like her. You simply just don't like wealthy people. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. That's fair. But there's a lot of wealthy people that don't get the hate that she gets. But whether you like her or not, she is living her best life. And I love that for her.
The parallels between Meghan experiences with the predominantly white British media and the historical dynamics of slavery lie not in a literal comparison to the horrific institution of enslavement, but rather in the patterns of control, in coercion and dehumanization that echo the legacy of slavery. By examining the role white women historically played in the transatlantic slave trade and systems of slavery, we can better understand the dynamics of power and entitlement that have shaped Meghan's treatment and experience. The definition of slavery includes the deprivation of personal freedom and autonomy through coercion or force. Right? Now, while Meghan is not a slave, the media relentless scrutiny and demands of her compliance reflect a dynamic where her autonomy is under siege. The British media has often treated Meghan as if her life and choices should conform to their expectations, echoing the historical treatment of enslaved individuals as property to control. She's not your slave. The Anti Slavery International defines modern slavery as exploitation for personal or commercial gain, right? The British media coverage of Meghan has been marked by a similar exploitive dynamic. Stories about her, whether they are negative or positive, they generate immense revenue for media outlets. So this relentless focus on Meghan is not about fair reporting, but about extracting profit, regardless of the harm caused to her reputation or her well-being. I mean, at one point we thought The Guardian was a friendly newspaper and a fair, balanced newspaper. Have you read The Guardian lately in regards to what they've written about Meghan Markle and what they've written? Like, they've decided that they're missing out on the revenue. So let's jump on this abuse the black biracial woman train, because we can. Historically, white women were active participants in the systems of slavery, as we've learned. They yield an enormous amount of power.
The name the Tig comes from a wine called Tignanello, but oftentimes it's mispronounced Tignanello. And I had a sip of this wine about 6 or 7 years ago, and it was the first time that I understood what people meant when they said the body or legs or structure of wine. It was such an, oh, I get it kind of moment that for me it became a Tig moment. That became my nickname for these ahas, just like with fashion. That fashion is not just clothes, it can be art. That's such a Tig moment.
And similarly, many prominent voices in the British media who have targeted Meghan through their commentary, gossip, and criticism, they're all white women. These individuals act as enforcers of societal norms, policing Meghan's behavior and using their platform to perpetuate narratives that frame her as an outsider, frame her as unworthy of her position. This mirrors how white women historically justified and reinforced systems of oppression to maintain their own status and power. In the past, white women justified slavery through moral and economic and religious reasoning. Elements of the British media have framed their treatment of Meghan as justified, portraying her as a disruptive force within the monarchy and the British system, the British culture. This framing serves to reinforce, again, societal hierarchies and dismiss Meghan's legitimate grievances about racism, misogyny, media bias, all of that. She's not your slave. She's not a slave. White women in slave-holding households frequently exercise control over the lives of enslaved individuals. Psychological abuse. Meghan has endured psychological abuse through their continuous headlines, editorials, social media commentary. It has been relentless. The media has created and perpetuated damaging stereotypes of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, framing her as manipulative, demanding, and undeserving of any empathy, sympathy. Much like the historical dehumanization of enslaved individuals. Historically, many white women resisted abolition. They said, fearing that they would lose their economic and social privileges. The media hostility towards Meghan can be seen as resistance to change within the British monarchy and society. Meghan, as a Black biracial woman, represents a break from traditional royal norms, and her presence challenges long-standing narratives about race, class, and gender in British society. She's not a slave. The dynamics at play in her treatment by the British media bears troubling similarities to the historical systems of control, entitlement, and exploitation that white women often upheld during slavery. Her experiences highlight the persistence of these attitudes in modern contexts, where individuals, particularly women of color and Black women, are subjected to dehumanization, to dehumanizing treatment for the benefit of those in power. Recognizing these patterns is essential to understanding the depth of the injustices Meghan has faced and the broader implications of how society treats marginalized voices that dare to challenge entrenched systems of privileges.
And one of the Okay, can we talk about this for a second? Because I am truly aggravated. Meghan Markle recently revealed that she has a new Netflix show. It's kind of like a lifestyle show where she's going to be cooking things and making things. And surprisingly, but not surprisingly, a lot of people have negative things to say, including fellow celebrities like Meghan McCain. They're basically looking for anything to pick apart this trailer. And one of the things that they're on Meghan Markle about is that she's not using her real home in Montecito. The $5 million home they're using for filming is right near her real home. However, they rented this one out for filming. Yes, I understand that the name of the show is At Home with Meghan, but are we really going to be that literal? Celebrities using different filming locations for their show is nothing new. Trisha Yearwood had a cooking show on the Food Network. She often used kitchens that weren't her own. Hailey Bieber had a show called Who's in My Bathroom, which was filmed on a set that looked exactly like the bathroom in her rental home. For season 4 of her HBO Max show, Selena Gomez actually used a beach house in Malibu. Side note, it was the same home featured in Hannah Montana, which is pretty funny. Also, I saw Charlotte Parlor say this, and I just want this screamed from a megaphone. There are about 1,000 lifestyle influencers that are actually problematic, like voted your bodily autonomy away, but Meghan Markle is the problem. Y'all, let's be serious. Let's be serious.
Since Meghan Markle entered the public eye as Prince Harry's partner, the British and subsequently the international media have subjected her to unrelenting scrutiny. This campaign, dominated by white voices, seeks to police her every move, from accusations of disrespecting the royal family to mocking her lifestyle choices. Meghan has become a scapegoat for a media industry that strives on sensationalism and division. Let's take, for example, the one recently that's in the news, Meghan McCain. Moving forward, we'll call her McCain. Her criticism of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, upcoming lifestyle show on Netflix. McCain suggested that the Duchess of Sussex, that her project is out of touch with the struggles of ordinary Americans and advised her to focus on food deserts in low-income neighborhoods instead. Oh, McCain, wielding that power of white privilege. McCain's paternal lineage includes connections to plantation ownership. Her great-great-grandfather, William Alexander McCain, owned a 2,000-acre plantation in Corral County, Mississippi, known as Teok or Waverly, where he held 52 slaves before the Civil War. So, McCain has got this running in her veins, I guess. I mean, at one point she was against the monarchy, so she had a very impassioned speech about down with the monarchy, and that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, single-handedly was going to bring that down and was going to finish the job that the founding fathers didn't do. But conveniently now, she has joined the chorus of those white women who know best. Now, with all the wealth that McCain has, she thinks that she has the authority, the power to tell, order, indicate to the Duchess what she should do instead. Now, maybe McCain has, I don't know. But why, instead of asking the Duchess, why don't you do it? You've had generational wealth. Part of your wealth comes from slavery. So why don't you give back? Don't ask the Duchess, who's been working all her life to get where she is. She didn't come from a wealthy family, nor did she possess generational wealth. So you should maybe look at yourself in the mirror and take your own advice. Reparations, anyone? The hypocrisy is glaring. McCain herself, a product of immense privilege, has rarely used her platform to address systemic issues like poverty or food insecurity. Yet, she feels entitled to lecture the Duchess, perpetuating this double standard that women of color, Black women, must always prove their worth by addressing societal problems, a demand rarely placed on their white counterparts.
To the surprise of no one, all of these people have their panties in a bunch over Meghan Markle's new Netflix show that's coming out. It's called With Love, Meghan, and it's basically her cooking and entertaining, and it's very much like a lifestyle show. It's her version of Goop. It's the TV version of the blog that she used to run, The Tig. It's very much in her wheelhouse, okay? And it's all very predictable, but there's one point of criticism, one person that has chimed in that's really grinding my gears. And that person is Meghan McCain. So she said, I was originally a Meghan Markle supporter. I thought she was cool, stylish, and refreshing. Now that she wants to be American again instead of British aristocracy, and she seems to forget that Americans want real, raw, and uncensored, all of this, even in the trailer, is highly curated, produced, and out of touch. And it's like, okay, so just because there's a bunch of shitty stuff happening in the world, all of a sudden you're deciding that we can't have aspirational escapism content, stuff that lets us forget about the shitty stuff that's happening in the world temporarily. And I was going to say somebody should explain the concept of escapism to Meghan McCain, but she is very famously a Real Housewives watcher, not just a casual viewer. She is an avid fan and watches this very religiously, which is great. So do I, clearly. But that means that she's very much accustomed to the idea of escapism. Because Real Housewives, that's what it is. It's a way for us for 45 minutes to look at somebody else's life and forget our own life for a little bit and just, escape. And that's exactly what Meghan Markle's show will do for us. It's probably this like little bubble of a world that she lives in where there aren't that many issues, and you can aspire to have this very curated, aesthetically pleasing life. And like, that's something that I would love to watch right now and not think about all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world. And for Meghan McCain to like somehow think that Meghan Markle is just not entitled to be able to create a show under her already existing Netflix production deal because there's stuff happening in the world. She's not allowed to provide escapism. She's not allowed to create something right now for us to watch. Why is that her problem? Why is that her burden to carry and not anybody else's? I don't understand. I don't understand these people.
Is because you're talking about Meghan. Messages for Meghan McCain. If you are not Meghan McCain, you are free to move on. I heard what you said about Meghan Markle, and the only reason we're talking about you is because you're talking about Meghan Markle. Since she has too much class to say to you what she really thinks of you, I'm going to go ahead and arrogantly speak on her behalf. Shut the fuck up. Find you the nearest fuck and shut it out. Like Whoopi Goldberg told your ass on national television, stop talking.
Perhaps the most glaring double standard in the treatment of Meghan is the one that exists between her and Kate. This disparity underscores the lingering colonial mindset and white women superiority that still pervades societal and media narratives. A striking example comes from the Daily Mail, which reported on Kate's ancestry, claiming it could be traced back to individuals who supposedly freed or helped free Meghan's Black ancestors. The implication? The implication here is that Meghan owes her freedom and existence to Kate. Can you imagine that? A suggestion that reinforces a narrative of Kate's superiority and Meghan's indebtedness. She's in debt to Kate. Even though Harry and Meghan have stepped back from royal duties and moved away, far, far away from the UK, the media continues to weaponize this double standard. Every time Meghan announces anything, just name it, anything, headlines contrive a way to bring Kate into the discussion. If Meghan launches her Instagram account, the narrative shifts to her timing. How dare she do this? That is so insensitive of her. Does she not know that Kate is scheduled to attend the theater next week? How could she even think about it? How could she do that to Kate? If Kate is facing any criticism or challenges, the media questions why Meghan isn't speaking up or defending the Princess of Wales. This absurd expectation suggests that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, cannot make a single move without seeking Kate's permission or consideration. She needs to think about whether or not what she does will affect Kate. She is not a slave. Not a slave.
I'm going to say this as kindly as I possibly can at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you watch the trailer for Meghan Markle's new show and you're mad about it, you need to talk to somebody. And it's not somebody here on this app. It is a professional, somebody to help you through whatever it is that you're going through, because there was nothing about that trailer that was offensive, hurtful, rude, or bothersome. The call is coming from inside the house. You need a therapist, and a really good one. I'm not kidding. Because tell me why I'm suddenly seeing on my timeline so many women like giving these think pieces as to why it's offensive that Meghan Markle would have a show about, I don't know, picking flowers and making delicious food. What is wrong with that? Is the new trend to be problematic about people being unproblematic? The truth is, you're not saying anything about Meghan. You're honestly just revealing yourselves, because there's nothing that she's ever going to do that's going to be good enough for you guys. Nothing. And that's because you're miserable and you need to get good therapists. Anyway, I wish you love and joy and happiness, because you clearly need that in your life, and you're upset that Meghan has that. I cannot wait for the show. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm pretty sure the British royals hire bots. Hear me out. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, rejoined Instagram on the 1st of January, a whopping 3 days ago. And within a few hours, suddenly the internet was reacting and we were seeing posts on every platform. And what you started to notice in the comments section was the number of these faceless and new accounts that had nothing positive to say and were just trolling. And then you started to see these faceless new accounts begin mirroring content from other creators and using AI generated content to slam Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And the funny thing is, that amount of effort isn't free. Someone has to bankroll that. And who has been known in the past to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to attack the Duchess of Sussex? Why the British royal family? They're very invested in it, and so are their lackeys. So right now, rather than the British royal family be using taxpayer resources to, I don't know, do something about the cost of living crisis, or maybe stop essentially defrauding the UK people of the £1 billion a year that they're getting. Yeah, instead of them doing that, no. What they have done is once again decided that an American woman of color who left their nation like half a decade ago, she needs to be taken down a notch because she got a job. And they don't like it, because if Meghan is out here showing us that a member of the royal family can do actual work, then maybe folks are going to be a little less happy about British royals bragging how many days they smile for the camera and just put fancy fabric on their bodies, because that's what they consider to be work. You know, when they show up at all, a couple months out of the year. Nonetheless, the trolls.
So, for any one of you who are on social media, whether it's the X or the Twitter and so on and so on, have you noticed within the last few days, I would say 2 maximum, no, not, I wouldn't even say 3, I would say 2, that something very interesting has been happening. I'm going to zero into Twitter. So when the Instagram thing went active, and when they posted the promo clip for With Love, Meghan, the comments, the bots, the inundation of negative, all this stuff, I was just like, holy mamma mia. And that is what actually, I don't want to say made me, but sort of made me think, okay, what can I write and deliver in an episode? Because I was feeling very kind of, I was like, oh man, they're just gonna like inundate the comment sections of this, that, and it's just gonna be a disaster, right? So that is why I wrote Not a Slave. Because the commentary and the comments that people were leaving, or bots or whatever, was as if Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, was their property. And not only that, but also this sort of notion that the things that she has, Cartier this or Tiffany that, or a pan that is 4,000 pounds and or dollars or yen or whatever, I don't care how much it costs. She's got it. That's hers. She's earned it. Them speaking as if she's not deserving of it, or people like her, people like us, should not have nice things. So that is why this episode, Not a Slave, because it's so much as in defense of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, but also it's a statement for those who think that we can't be at the very upper echelons of anything and everything, because we can. But let me get back a little bit to my point. So yesterday and today, what I've noticed is there's been a lot of people, and especially women, but men too, who are going, hang on a second, why are people hating on Meghan Markle? Like, they're posting this on TikTok and everywhere. Why are there so many comments of hate of Meghan? This one person said, did I miss something? Did Meghan Markle become evil all of a sudden? Because everything I know about her is that she's a really nice lady. And she asked the question, she goes, can someone please tell me if I missed something? Because why is she getting all this hate? It's like a lot of people are now waking up to it. But I think they're waking up to it because the inundation of all this nasty, I mean, I don't need to tell you folks. You folks know it. And I think for those that are not used to any of this, they're going, what's going on? Like, this is kind of strange. The good thing too, for people who are asking what's going on, when I check the comment section, there's already a squad here, or someone already giving them the 411 or the 911 or the 905 or whatever we say, and bringing that person up to date as to what is happening. I was looking for a particular video that I know I wanted to bring it to you folks, but I couldn't find it. But in my search, there's another video, and there's this man who owns he owns a laundromat. He bought it, I think, a couple of months ago. So he's on YouTube, and he's going and getting all the money or the change and everything else. And as he's opening one of the washing machines, he goes, yeah, oh man, and on the weekend, the internet went crazy about Meghan Markle. You would have thought she like committed some kind of crime or something. And he's talking and he's like, people are crazy out there. They're attacking this poor woman that barely talks, barely says anything. She anytime we see her, she's just so nice. And I'm like, okay, okay. And it was so funny. It was like almost, I'm not saying, I don't want me to be dramatic, but it was almost like I went, oh, okay. All right. It's going to be okay. Right? I'll tell you folks something funny, just so you can you can understand me a little bit more even. So ever so often when I was traveling and lucky enough for one reason or another, I would get upgraded to business or to first. And I remember the first time. So I'm in the seat, and this flight was I was in business, so I'm in the seat, and I'm like, okay, this is great, and I'm drinking um my champagne, and I see the gate agent, like the senior gate agent. She comes onto the aircraft, and she speaks to, like, who I'm guessing is the in charge flight attendant, and she looks over. They look, and then like our eyes made for, and she walks over, and I'm going, please don't come to me, please don't come to me, please don't come. Then she comes to me. She's like, hi. I was like, hi. She goes, listen, I'm so sorry, love. We've got to downgrade you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, and I'm so sorry. The seat you had before, I couldn't get that seat back for you. So you're in a middle seat. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. So, do you know, do you understand the shame, the walk of shame? Because you're in business class and you're like sitting there and you're like drinking your champagne, and then you have to grab your carry on and you're walking back into economy and you're like in seat 52D or something all the way at the back. And you can see people going, ooh, what happened? Did he sit in the wrong seat? Oh, oh man. When that happened to me the first time, I was so embarrassed and devastated. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I am never, ever, ever taking like a free upgrade or whatever again, because the embarrassment I feel right now, I never want to feel like that. So relating this back a little bit to um, the only time when I would get upgraded and I would sit there and I wouldn't touch anything. I wouldn't touch the amenity kit. I wouldn't touch like anything, nothing. Wouldn't touch it. I'd just sit in the seat, and I would just stare at the door, stare at the plane door, and the flight attendants would pass by, and they're like, champagne, juice, wine. I'm like, no. Later. I'm like, after we reach cruising altitude, and they're like, okay. And as soon as that door closed, that door of that aircraft closed, and we started to taxi. Now, I'm still not out of the woods as far as I was concerned. I was still like, okay, all right, all right, I'm gonna be okay until we like, I don't know, get off this runway and we are at cruising altitude. So crazy I am. And once we would take off and get into cruising altitude, I would be like, all right, this is my seat now. No one can come and take it. Ah, yeah. So that is the feeling, right? The feeling of seeing all these people now who are asking, like, what the heck is going on? Why are people saying these mean things about Megan? Why are they harassing her? And then those same people are actually creating now things saying, hey, you crazy people, leave Megan alone, right? I am so encouraged, but same as me getting upgraded, I am waiting until we take off and we're at cruising altitude. All right. Have a look at this.
It's a very strange sort of comeback from Meghan Markle. We were talking about her Instagram yesterday, and she was running off into the sea and writing 2025 into the sand.
Lovely
What does it
twos, as
mean?
you said. Lovely twos.
Lovely
Yeah,
handwriting. We were trying to work out what this means. It seems like we know today, don't we, Mercy?
Yes, that's right. So she's dropped this glitzy trailer on Instagram because she's got a new Netflix deal for a show. It's going to be called With Love, Meghan. And it's basically kind of an at-home with Meghan experience. She's going to be talking about wellness. She's going to have guests on. She's going to be sort of telling people how they can improve their well-being. It's due to air on January the 15th, and it will be 8:33-minute episode. However, it has been controversial. We always know that when there's a story involving Meghan, it's controversial. First of all, it's not filmed in her own home. So it's at home with Meghan. It's
but not
in her own home, a very expensive Airbnb, £5 million mansion down the road from where she lives. And I think it's controversial because for me, this idea of that celebrities who live, I think she lives in like a 16-bedroom mansion in Montecito or something like that. And celebrities who have millions of pounds at their disposal, they come along and they kind of tell the ordinary people, this is how you can live well. Well, yeah, you can live well when you have millions of pounds at your disposal.
Oh, come on.
No, but I agree. From the Kardashians do it, Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah. Look, before we judge quickly, should we have a look at what this actually looks like?
Like, I'd watch that. That's escapism. And sometimes TV is a bit of a fib. Not a real fire. Okay? We create scenarios to give people some escapism, and that's all it is,
No, I just think, the tone for me, because given how controversial she is, she's been accused of being pretentious many times before. I mean, the chopping board she's using costs 60 quid. There's a salad bowl. It says salad owl. Retails for £280.
Yeah, no one's spending 280
I know, but it's just that,
It's aspirational. Listen, the reality is she's got a brand. She has to make money. She's using her brand and her personality to make cash for her family. And let's be clear, if you saw my house after Christmas, I wouldn't want anyone in my house. I don't want to hire an Airbnb, right? So the reality is that I don't mind the fact that she's making money. She's going to use her influence, hopefully, to bring to the fore some interesting subjects, particularly mainly amongst women, potentially, around women's health. I think that's a good thing to do.
And I think if she does use the platform for some good, it's not just sort of celebrities sat around, talking about really high-end things and just like things that normal people can't relate to. That will be quite irritating to many people. But I think if she can raise awareness of particular issues, because she does care about social justice issues, then fine. But nobody's arguing with her. I do want her to, I'm all for everybody making money and supporting their families.
This is good.
That's not the problem.
There's so much immediate, anytime she does anything, I don't understand the immediate vitriol.
Exactly.
It's negativity immediately, like, give her a chance.
Yeah, she does.
Do you not think?
I
don't know why.
She's a woman, she's a mum, she wants to make some money, she wants to use her platform. And if Netflix have got a big check to give her, I'm not going to say no. I don't expect her to do so.
Mercy's not buying this argument.
It's just not my type of show, I don't think.
I know what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I think...
Okay, deep breath, deep breath. Deep breath in, hold for 2. Exhale out. Okay, it's going to be all right. I'll confess that my first reaction to that clip, that video, once it was recorded and I listened to it, I thought, I cannot publish this. I was so angry. I was quite angry. And I did it for a second time. I just took some notes of some things I wanted to highlight. Then I listened to that and I thought, nah, this is not it either. And I did it again earlier today. I listened to it and it just did not, I don't know. It just didn't seem right, some of the things that I was saying anyways. When I mean right, as in, I don't want to put that kind of energy out into the world, right? So as I sat with my thoughts, and I will say this section of today's episode, this section took the longest for me to get done. So I thought, let me approach it and take out the emotional level. I'm not saying I'm not going to speak with emotion, I certainly will, but let's center what you want to say academically, center it historically, psychologically, and from there, then, let your emotion or your spontaneity as to how it makes you feel be expressed in a more targeted and intelligently argumented, I hope. So I'll start out by saying, historically, Black women have faced immense pressure to conform to the dominant narratives of white dominated societies, often as a means of survival and of acceptance. This phenomena stems from centuries of systemic oppression, colonial influence, and the internalization of racist ideologies. During the transatlantic slave trade, enslaved Black women were forced to navigate a complex web of oppression, often aligning with their oppressors to avoid further punishment or to gain small, precocious advantages within a system designed to dehumanize them. This legacy of internalized racism persists today, where Black women in public spaces may feel compelled to distance themselves from others perceived as problematic or disruptive to the dominant power structure. Mercy's commentary on Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and her very much so anticipated Netflix show exemplifies this dynamic by adapting the condescending and dismissive rhetoric used by white critics. She aligns herself with the majority narrative, perhaps as an unconscious strategy to avoid alienation or to gain professional validation within predominantly white media spaces. In the present day context, media dynamics amplify these patterns, particularly when it comes to women of color, Black women. Meghan's Netflix show, With Love, Meghan, has been criticized for elements that have gone unchallenged in similar programs hosted by other people, by white women, by men. Let's take, for instance, one of my favorite shows when it was on HBO, Selena Gomez um, show when she would cook with a chef. Now, that cooking show was filmed in a very beautiful kitchen with high-end appliances, high-end tools. Now, I don't know if that was filmed in Selena's home, if it was filmed at a rental, right? What I've heard is that it was at a rental, or one of the seasons is it was at a rental. They had rented like a Malibu home, or a home in Malibu. No one asked about the cost. No one asked about the cost of the pots and the pans and the spoons and the this and the that. Yet Meghan's show is preemptively dismissed as pretentious. Well, not only the show's being dismissed as pretentious, but she said Meghan is known for being pretentious and tone deaf. Despite viewers having only seen a brief promotional clip for a minute and 30 something seconds, they've already cast their ballot. This double standard reflects a broader societal bias that scrutinizes Meghan, biracial people, Black women, women of color, more harshly than their white counterparts. Marcy's condescending tone and gestures as she echoed these criticisms, which are mirror and absolutely mirrors the broader patterns of white women in the British media who relentlessly target Meghan. This alignment underscores how systemic racism and misogyny pressure Black women to adopt dominant narratives, even when they know that they will harm members of their own community. Mercy's commentary is particularly disheartening because it perpetuates a cycle of oppression. Instead of recognizing Meghan's resilience in facing 8 years of relentless attacks, Mercy's alignment with white critics reinforces the very stereotypes and biases that have plagued Meghan's public life since she entered into the British royal family. Meghan's show, far from being a trivial pursuit, represents an attempt to create meaningful content that uplifts others. I would say particularly women and women of color, Black women, to uplift them through wellness and self-improvement. The hypocrisy of these criticisms directed at Meghan, but not at similarly white hosts of past and present lifestyle programs that are on either streaming or on legacy networks. This demonstrates, because they didn't get any sort of criticism, it demonstrates the entrenched bias that exists and that exists in Mercy. Because perhaps she is unwittingly validating, maybe, this behavior is a reminder of the deep societal work needed to dismantle systemic racism, internalize misogyny and bias and racism itself, and the barriers preventing women of color, Black women, from standing united against oppression.
Who wants to watch an ex-duchess traipse around her mansion picking flowers?
I, for one, can't wait for January 15th. I got my blanket ready. I'm testing it out. I want to see a rich duchess married to a prince in her big, beautiful mansion and her beautiful kids cooking delicious meals. I want to see all of her celebrity friends, including Tyler Perry, the godfather of Lilibeth. I want to see her making hummus. And I want to see her pick flowers and beekeep and all of those things. I have never seen think pieces from people asking the barefoot Countessa to be more edgy. If Meghan had made a Netflix special cooking the food in her kitchen and taking it to the homeless or the less fortunate, the haters would have called her narcissistic and said she had to show off what she's doing. She's definitely one of the few people that I am aware of that can make a Netflix special, name it With Love from Meghan, and the haters are like, oh, yeah. I do see a lot of think pieces come across my For You page of people saying, why do they hate her so much? Misogynoir. We saw it when people said, I'm not voting for Kamala because I don't like the way she laughs. And we see it a lot for Meghan. We see it a lot for Meghan because at the end of the day, she should have been grateful for the role that she was given. She should have just accepted her role, accepted what the British media tried to do to her or portray her. And she should have never challenged the power structure because how dare she? She was given this opportunity, and how dare she disrespect it? They see her as ungrateful at the end of the day. Never mind her peace of mind. Never mind her safety. She is a Black or biracial woman that was given the opportunity to be a princess or a duchess. And her and Harry leaving the monarchy is disrespectful at the end of the day. And they're going to hate her forever. But not me. I'm watching, and I can't wait.
Meghan Markle's new show isn't even out yet, and we have people like this kicking and screaming because they don't think it was filmed in her home, therefore it lacks authenticity. I don't know if it was filmed in her home, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't filmed in her home, because do you guys not realize that this is a high net worth, high profile individual who has very publicly received death threats, but now you want her to film and case her home and then hand it over on a global stage to the same people that have sworn to annihilate her entire lineage? I am so confused. These are the same people that hate this woman for no reason other than racism. And you want her to case her home for you? Cannot make this shit up. This is the Meghan Markle effect. It's this unhinged jealousy, this crisis level insecurity on full display. You guys talk out of your ass, and it just is embarrassing because you have absolutely no reason to not like the girl at the level to which you don't like her. Like, it's actually insane.
Yeah, it was never going to take much for me to sign on to With Love, Meghan. I've historically been on this woman's side. But after that trailer, I'm in. I don't even really cook like that. I mean, like, I cook out of necessity. I cook to live, of course, but I don't really have that joy of cooking. After those 2 minutes, I'm ready to be in the kitchen. Call me a chef. Like, I'm ready to make some beautiful, beautiful moments for my loved ones that I'm going to learn from the show. I'm ready to create wonder in every moment. When she said, we're not seeking perfection, we're seeking joy, I'm in. I am in.
You know what bugs me the most about Meghan Markle?
She's Black. Just keep it real. Make it easier on yourself. Stop all this unnecessary bullshit and the unnecessary think pieces, because we know what it is. She's Black and she's with Harry. Y'all don't even think that Black people are entitled to live on this land, let alone be a part of royalty. That's the problem. Because I haven't seen this woman do anything but mind her business and stay out of the public eye. But y'all try to pick her apart for every fucking thing. It's a damn shame. This woman couldn't pass gas correctly if it was left up to y'all. She's Black. That's what the issue is. Shut the fuck up.
You know, even if it was just for a few days, it was great to be on social media and see sort of the defense of the Duchess and people actually speaking logic and facts rather than regurgitating things that a so-called royal reporter or tabloid printed as evidence or as facts. There is so much more I would like to say, but we've crossed the 60-minute line here, and I'm gonna just wrap it up. I'll say that as 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 we critique the media and the media's role in perpetuating these dynamics, we as people, as whether you're pro or con, or whether you are one side of the line, or ideology, or another, we must, as intelligent human beings, we must examine information that is brought to us, information that has been given to us, and also be acutely aware of who is delivering that information and what are their alternative motives. Who do they represent? If they say to you, this person has never had an issue, all their years, no problems, and then all of a sudden, there's all these things that are happening, you need to start to question that. An intelligent society and intelligent people question the information that they receive. Now, it's on us also to check our own biases, our own assumptions about our attitudes towards race, towards gender, towards power. And most importantly, how can we create a culture that celebrates rather than condemn? And especially condemning women of color, Black women who dare to succeed on their own terms in spaces where they're not supposed to be. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is not a slave, is not your slave, is nobody's slave. She is a woman. She's a mother. She's a creator. She's an entrepreneur. She's a trailblazer. Who deserves the freedom to live her life without the constant burden of others' expectations, assumptions, and vile, disgusting rhetoric? It is time to end the cycle of entitlement and criticism, and to embrace a future where all women are free to strive. All women. So if you find yourself rejoicing or happy to be vile and nasty to this woman who you do not know, you should check yourself. If you are in a hospital receiving cancer treatment, you're receiving chemo, and your priority is to send out hateful messages about Meghan Markle, you need to check yourself. If you, as a man, find yourself watching the promotion of 1 minute and 30 something seconds of a show on Netflix with Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and your body, you feel so nauseated and sick that you feel like vomiting, you need to check yourself. Because this is not normal. None of it is. What do you want to contribute to this planet, to this earth, to the environment that we live in presently? For me, it's very clear. You're either contributing good or you're contributing evil. Regardless. It's either one or the other. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And we continue this conversation. It's a really good one. We will continue it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. And to that stranger that may cross your path, be kind. You never know. Until we speak again. Thank you.